things today.
Money, 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 we got that Fly Nubian money. We talk about that money, we all about that money. Money, 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 money. We got that Fly Nubian money. We talk about that money. We all about that money. We love our black skin, our melanin, always focusing in on that money. We always win, money never thin, 'cause we hustling, always focusing in money, 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 money. We got that money, 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 money. We that Fly Nubian money. Boss talk, don't it? We stack it up. We talk about that money. We got that money. Fly Nubian money. Fly Nubian.
Fly Nubian money. I feel like we should come in here and dance. Okay, anyways, welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we maximize your mindset. And I forget the thing with the money, but we do good things in this place, okay? Today we are talking about pressure, visibility, and what happens when Black women start winning at scale. We are watching multiple stories unfold at the same time, from Ariane Simone to Pinky Cole to Stormy Wellington to Fawn Weaver. These are all different industries, different situations, but when you step back, it starts to feel connected. These Black women are some of the fastest growing groups of entrepreneurs, yet access to funding, protection, and real scale still feels limited. And when something goes wrong, the fallout feels loud, public, and immediate. So what happens when Black women build big? Are they being held to a different standard? Or are we watching the normal pressure of business play out in real time? Ooh, it's going to be a great conversation today, joined by some of the best queens on the planet. We have Aisha, our financial services expert. We have Nomalanga, motherhood, marriage, motherhood, money making. I just got to remember the order. And then Renee, safety and self-advocacy is all I can see. Boom. All right. So hello, queens. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Nomalanga. And to you in our chat, welcome, 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 welcome. How familiar are you, ladies, with any of these individuals? I follow and have been following all of these stories. Stormy's is new, but I've been watching Pinky Cole deal with her financial woes, if you will, bankruptcy, losing her company, getting it back. The Fearless Fund, what they're doing with that, trying to say that, it's racist to have a fund just for Black women, and holding onto her funds and not letting her do what she does. Who else do we have? Like, how familiar are you guys with what's happening in these different industries and how it's playing out in the streets, if you will? I'll start with you, Aisha.
I'm familiar with the one with Pinky, and knowing how she started her business in the restaurant industry, and she blew up so fast. She did so well, and then had the issue, and then came back again, and then back again, now having issues. But the other ladies I've heard, but I haven't followed them to see what's happening. So I'm also very excited to talk about women entrepreneurs today. Yes.
Awesome. It's going to be a great conversation. What about you, Renee? How familiar are you with any of these women, or have you been following these stories?
Yes, I'm familiar with Pinky. I've been following a little bit, and I have to say I was a little bit on the side where I heard where she had the HBCU contracts, and she was selling $20 burgers to the students, and I'm like, okay, Black woman. So anyway, but the other things that you've been talking about, I wasn't aware of all of the lawsuits and whatnot. But this is a very interesting topic. So thank you for bringing it to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And even that, I like that you brought up the HBCU, because when she went there, I know a lot of people were like, why would she do that? But as a business owner, I'm thinking the rent of the location at the HBCU has to get their money. She has to get her money. So it's going to be a higher cost, but also the university should have thought about pricing when they brought it in, being that these are college students. So there's always like two sides, you know what I mean? I'm like, so when I hear it, I always try to look at things both sides. Like as a consumer, because as a consumer, sometimes I'd be like, this is crazy. Like what? And then I look at it as a business, I'm like, well, they making their money. But then I got to decide, who am I in this moment? Am I the consumer or the business owner?
And then also, I'm sorry, then also you have to think long term. If she would have came in, giving a $5 burger or whatever it is, then she can get another contract and another contract. And eventually she would blow up. So it's also us thinking long term and not at the moment.
Yeah, all of that matters. All of that matters. What about you, Nomalanga? Would you follow any of these stories, any of these ladies?
No, I actually don't know much about them, but I had heard about the lady who had registered a company that was supposed to help other Black women, and then she was called racist. And I just saw on my feed recently that she registered the company outside the United States, so now they can't get her and say that she's being racist because, yeah, how will they?
We gotta play their games. They play in chess, not checkers. We gotta
Yep.
learn how to play chess. Can't sit down to a chat. Go to a, what is it? You can't go to a gun match with a knife like that. Sometimes I feel like that's what we do when we're talking about our businesses compared to the way that other businesses operate. And a lot of times, we don't want to say our business, Black business and their business, or Black families and but you have to. There is a blatant difference. And I'm not going to say how businesses operate, but I will say the expectations and the behaviors with which we review, speak of, and support. There is a difference. And so before we get further into our conversation, we're going to start with our first video. And that way we can make sure that everybody's on the same page and knows about what's going on with these different ladies. So we'll start with our first video, and then we'll just keep the conversation going.
The beginning. One of the conservative activists behind the U.S. Supreme Court decision for affirmative action has now decided to sue a VC firm that is supporting Black women business owners. The suit was filed in Atlanta against the Fearless Fund. The fund has a Fearlessly Strivers grant competition that provides between $10,000 to $20,000 to Black female entrepreneurs to help scale their business. The suit alleges that the Fearless Fund is practicing unlawful racial discrimination, Section 1981 of the Civil Rights Act of 1866. This is a U.S. law barring racial biases in private contracts. And because the fund is only available to Black women, this is where they claim the discrimination lies. I will never not be amazed at how people take safeguards that were created for Black people, for marginalized and disenfranchised communities, and try to weaponize those same laws against us.
Listen, this is happening all over the place. I was trying to pull up something that's happening literally right now, but let's just talk about this one first. So this, I think it's Ariane Simone. I forget how much money she has in this Fearless Fund. Tiara, if you can find it for me, please do. It's some ultimate millions of dollars of funding that she has generated. And by generated, I mean gone out, knocked on the doors, done all the things to be able to go and give to Black women. And they did not want this woman to have this money or to specifically or only give it to Black people, Black women, which are marginalized, which are minority. Like you have minority certification so that you can specifically go out and help minorities. People get funding to go and help minorities, and Black women, we're considered a double minority. And so the other thing is when you get this type of funding and you can help a business, we know that business is going to do better because they're going to have the capital and the means to do better. So ultimately, in my opinion, what they're saying is we don't want you to help Black women to do better. We don't want you to help their businesses do better. We know that their businesses are starting faster than anybody else, but we don't want them to be as successful as everybody else. Ariane Simone, co-founder of the Fearless Fund, has raised and managed a $25 million to $30 million venture capital focused on women of color-led businesses. Do you know what $30 million could do for Black women business owners and capital? Like, that's crazy. So I'll start with you, Renee. When you hear this, what are your thoughts when you hear that this is happening? What do you think?
Well, I think that as Black women, it's like we're being given, or we're being levied a perfection tax. Like when we are doing well, they're taxing us for going out there and striving and doing better than what they thought we were going to do. You know, they've locked us out, or they've pushed us out of corporate. And then we said, okay, that's fine. And now I'm going to start a business. And they're doing way better than they probably did in corporate, and they're getting their money. So it's like you said, it's demoralizing. It's they are finding all kinds of ways to keep us in some type of box, to not make any money. Period. And it's sad. And that's going to continue to happen until we can find creative ways, like you said, to play. What is it? Play chess and not checkers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have to strategize and do that.
Absolutely. Aisha, do you think that Black women helping Black women creates a higher level of scrutiny? Meaning, if this Black woman had created this business and the Fearless Fund, and it was for all white, it was not all white women, it was for women, just women in general, would it have the same level of scrutiny, or is it specifically because it's helping Black businesses, Black women specifically?
Yes, you know, it's amazing that that is even the case. The fund was specifically raised to help the community of Black women, right? That was the whole purpose, that she did all this and raised all this money. And then now that she's helping the people that she was targeting, that was a problem. But I agree that the scrutiny will be there if you make it a point. I think that is where the chess and checkers comes to be, because sometimes I think maybe we put out our cards too openly. You know, people play, they wear dark glasses, so you don't know their moves. That's why when they play those games, so you don't know what their eyes are doing. But we just open our hands so they know exactly what we're doing. Then they can come back to that against us. So now the case about the strategy, so to avoid those scrutinies of being told, hey, you can't give money to only this person or that person, when we know that it happens all the time. People only help their communities first. Then whatever is left over, they might look at other people, but they won't say it. They would never say it. Right in front of, they would never say it. So the scrutiny comes because we're so open about it and particular about it. So they say, they will have to go after you and get that money back from you if that's what you want to do, even though they know that was the whole point in the first place. So it's very sad that that's happening, though.
It is very sad. It's very sad that it's like, even when you sit down and play chess,
Mm-hmm.
and you learn the rules and you figure out how to play it, they say, the rules have changed. That's not how we want to play. You got to play it like this now. Now you got to put your hand behind your back and jump on one foot. Okay, now play. Let's see if you can play it like that. And then when you learn how to do that, then it's like, no, we're going to change the rules. Let's play it a different way. Nomalanga, you are an entrepreneur, a business owner. What are your thoughts with regards to the Fearless Fund, and specifically, do you guys have funding like this in Africa or where you are?
Yes, ma'am.
You guys have these same types of this same type of scrutiny?
Well, no, because again, in most African countries, and probably all, the population dynamic is reversed, and that the majority is Black people. So it's, you know, so if you just said I want to do something for women, then you're just going to cover mostly Black women.
Okay.
But yeah. But you know, I think it's funny. Just before I got on the show, I was talking to my husband, and I said, you know, being Black in America can be so exhausting.
Listen.
But I was saying that. But one of the things that I think is constructive is all of you have touched on it, but it's really about how we structure things and the systems that we build. The reason why they were able to attack that particular business or initiative is because she was in a particular business or corporation class, and then they said, in this class you can't do this or that. So it's just a matter of how do you structure what you're setting up, and then what parameters do you put in place to say who qualifies and so forth. So yeah, it is really about just being very strategic. And like you said right in the beginning, you know, they're playing chess and we might be playing checkers. So it's time for us to level up, so that we understand, there's this thing we used to do, I think it was in business school, called the SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. So when you set something up, you've got to know that one of the threats is going to be that somebody's going to accuse you of being racist or biased or something like that. And what are you doing to mitigate that? So it really goes back to our systems and our structures and the strategy, so that we're hitting the people we want, but we're circumventing the garbage. Yeah.
Yeah, and Latoya, we are gonna answer your question. I see it, and we're gonna get to it. One of the issues I feel like, and we're gonna go to another video in a hot second. I think that this one, I want to just circle this real quick. Is this in particular one is happening across the board in a variety of different ways. I found what I was looking for. This lady named Erica Jimenez in California. She's a mother. She's described in reports as white or Latina. She filed a federal class action lawsuit in April of 2026. This is when I saw it, against the Pasadena Public Health Department and State Health Agency for denying her access to a Black infant health program. So they have this health program specifically for Black women. She's a white and or Latina lady who went in there. They said it's for Black women. She said basically that's racist. You can't do that. And so she's suing. And so I feel like there is an attack on things that are for us. You see what it says. It outlines who it's for. And then you go in there and then you outcry. But you knew who it was for. The writing was on the wall. It said who it was. When I went through Black, what's this program called? The Goldman Sachs 1 Million Black Women in Business, with everything that's going on politically and in the world, it was the first time that they had a man apply. Now, mind you, was a Black man, Latoya, and so they let him in, and he was able to come in and go through the program, because you can't say it's only for Black women now. Now that's not, you can't say that in those types of environments and keep funding. So they had to let him in. And so the language is still for Black women. The focus was still Black women. But if somebody asked to come in and they're not a Black woman, you can go in there. Our space is no longer protected in that capacity. And so let's go to our next. Let's keep going. We're going to keep going down this rabbit hole. We're going to go to our next video, talk about our next lady.
A little update in the Uncle Nearest situation with Fawn Weaver. I wanted to talk about this because I thought it was really interesting. So apparently, if you guys have not been up on this situation, that company has been taken over by what they call a receiver. And that's somebody that the judge puts in place to actually run the business. He put out a form about all of his findings about the business. He said the business is in bad shape because their financer, they are calling for a loan for $100 million, and they're saying that Uncle Nearest doesn't have the they don't have the money to pay it back. They don't have enough barrels of whiskey to sell to even pay that back. So that's why they're getting sued. And that's why the receiver was put in place. So now, once the receiver put all their findings out there, and he said, it's looking kind of good, Fawn Weaver and her team, her lawyers, went to the judge and said, okay, stop this receivership, because he said we're doing good, and he said we're all right. So then the receiver went back and said, forget all that. They're actually doing worse than what I thought.
Oh, shit.
So it's, and then now the receiver is also saying the relationship that I thought me and the Weavers had clearly isn't that good either. So now I don't even want to talk to them directly. I need my lawyer to talk to their lawyer. So I said all of that to say this entire situation felt like sabotage to me. And this is why I felt like sabotage, because the person who was in charge of the finances, who got that $100 million loan, and then the fact that the finance company gave them that money, and then all of a sudden do your due diligence after the fact and say they don't got enough barrels, or they lied about how many barrels that they had. Now we're suing, and then they were able to successfully get the company taken away from them. Essentially, that feels like sabotage to me. That feels like they knew that this was a financial move that we can pull to not outright, not like it's not a hostile takeover of the business. We can go around, you guys to take over that business. And I remember when this was first announced, Oba said that the Jack Daniels family, or that creek where they make that whiskey, is drying up, so they need this one. They're taking it right from under her. It feels like sabotage.
So I've been following Fawn Weaver for a while. I've been following this story for a while, and a lot of what he said is true, right? So a little bit of background, how we got here. Somebody signed paperwork saying that we have X amount of barrels. And because of these X amount of barrels, we should be able to get this loan because we're going to be able to pay it back. Somewhere along the line, the people servicing the loan, holding the loan, said, hey, we're looking through this paperwork. We want to verify the barrels. And when they went to verify the barrels weren't there. And so the loan people said, okay, well, we want our money now. We want all of it. We want it now. And they're like, we can't give it to you now. And from a financial standpoint, they were like, okay, well, we got a problem. And so that's why they had to get the receiver. The receiver had to go in there and look at all the things. Now, let's just talk about that part. We're not talking about their business specifically, but this is a business conversation. Look at your contracts. Look at your paperwork that goes out of your office that somebody signs. Fawn was saying that Vaughn said we didn't know. We didn't know that that's what they said. We didn't know that that is what they had did. What are your we're gonna take this bit by bit, and we're not placing blame. We're having a conversation on what do we do better as entrepreneurs? What could she have possibly done to make sure that she didn't get into the situation? Because a lot of this happens a lot as you get bigger. Pinky talks about this too, is as you start elevating and getting bigger, you can't touch everything and you can't see everything. And so you put people in place that you think are going to take care of everything. And the person that they had in place over their finances dropped the ball, allegedly. And so, Aisha, when you hear this as a financials expert, somebody's going out making loans for a company based on fraudulent information. Let's not say fraudulent, because then that sounds like they didn't know. Based on information that wasn't true. Let's say it that way, right? What are your thoughts?
If the truth is that the receiver went and checked and everything was not complete, the info was not complete, then I can see that as a problem, because you want to have the right person, especially when you're that visible. Everybody knows your company. You want to make sure you have people that are actually competent getting the paperwork together and making sure that everything is checked and double checked before you go in for the loan or whatever you're doing, and also have a backup plan. Say if this loan we are receiving, if something happens in between, maybe something was forgotten, and we have to now maybe face this, people that are giving us a loan, we have a backup plan, right? So I think, unfortunately, I'm sure on hindsight, this go back and say, man, we should have double checked, making sure that we had the right things in place, and whoever was giving us account of what we had, that everything was correct. Because I'm sure the people that give them the loan were eager to give them the loans until then something went wrong. Then now they're going back to double check. So I think the best thing to do anytime is just, if you're that visible or you're starting out, you're that visible, to just make sure that your books are really tight and they're up to date, and the quantity, the refill, everything that you need for that time for everything to go smoothly is in place. Otherwise, this can happen and it looks like a hostile takeover, because then now you have nothing to fall back on, and they can just push you around, and before you know it, what you built taking so many years to build can be taken away just like that, just because somebody didn't do the paperwork correctly or things were not done accurately during the whole time.
It was a hostile takeover, I believe.
You think it was hostile? Tell us why.
I think it was a hostile takeover. They set them up as they always do. But the reason why is because what I'm not seeing is grace. So, okay, they didn't have the whatever amount of barrels. They may have had 50 barrels. That is easily, we can correct that now. So, whatever amount of money we less deducted, whatever it could have been, we can have some grace about it. We understand it could have been a mistake. But no, that was, to me, that was specifically in how he explained it, is like they set it up, had the books, that financial person, whatever. And then they did that because you can always, we make mistakes. We're human. We're not a robot, and we're not going to see everything. So that's where you have grace. And what I see, they don't have any grace. You know, we've learned you got to be double. You have to be better than them. You have to, you know, twice as harder to whatever. Come on, I make mistakes. So can we work this out? No, because they wanted that, and that's what they do.
So are you saying that you think that the person who was over the finances was planned? Are you saying that that person was part of the setup, or that the industry going in, pulling her card on not having that barrels, and then forcing a receivership was part of the setup?
Mhm.
I believe what you just said, that second part. I believe that. And
So
then
that would align with not having grace. So we're starting a business. This person is out here where they're trying to get us money. They did what they had to do. They got it back to the corner. And then the industry took advantage of the opportunity to say, oh, well, now that we're here, let's play your card. I think the other thing is, Nomalanga, and I'm gonna bring this to you, is I don't know if you guys know about Fawn, but that lady is confident. She walk in the room confidently. She run her business confidently. She pay her employees good. Uncle Nearest is the Black gentleman who helped Jack Daniels start his company. He is, I think, the person who came, I might be a little bit wrong. He is the person who came up with the formula or the brewing system, something to that effect, that did that, right? And so she went and named this company after him, and his family is a part of this this business. But Fawn don't play. She do not play. And you know, folks don't like a confident Black woman coming into the industry and then building a business. I can't remember if it was evaluated at $1 billion or not, but it's definitely on track to becoming a $1 billion business. What do you think about that? Nomalanga, do you think being a powerful Black woman plays into these types of situations?
Yeah, definitely you're gonna ruffle a lot of feathers. If you come in, you're too confident. They don't call you confident, they call you arrogant. There's always another reverse word that's going to turn everything that you do negative. And, you know, my whole career since I set foot in America, it was always you're the first Black this, or you're the first African this, or the first woman Black this, whether it's a manager or a professor in this department, whatever it was. So it's like I've lived this, and I got tired of it because it's like you're existing in an environment that's created to immediately misunderstand you, give you no grace, go for you, and it really is, or it can be exhausting. But it always brings me back to what eventually I started to really believe, and I wasn't just saying it. I really do believe, like, oh, if you're gonna get a loan, get it from a Black bank. My goodness, because it really comes down to, if we try to patronize each other's businesses, sometimes it does kind of keep us small, but it does to some degree keep us safe. And I've seen how when you try to step away from your own community to grow and grow exponentially, it can sometimes just be as devastating as this. So you always have to balance that.
I agree. And let's make sure that I'm going to do full circle, right? Tara, bring that back up. I'm going to go full circle because yes, she is being attacked. Yes, she's not getting grace, but there are things that could have been done differently to help not be open yourself to be taken advantage of. Let's say it that way, right? So, Jay, go back one. I want to do the one before that one. So, with this money, because I've been following this. Go back to the one before with the property. So part of the lawsuit claims that the distillery overstated its barrel inventory, used loan proceeds for unrelated purchases, including a $2.2 million property, a Martha's Vineyard, and then sold off collateral to cover others. So part of this loan was to have this Martha's Vineyard facility to be able to sell merch, right? And allegedly, it was supposed to be in partnership with the loan servicer, because that was going to be a part of the way they were going to get their money back. And so they did go and get the property, but they only put it in their name. They didn't put it in the servicer's name, because that was allegedly part of the deal to make sure that some of the money came back. So some of this is just business acumen, right? Don't open yourself up so that somebody can come in and take advantage of you. And that's not to say that you could do everything right, because like Renee said, you're going to drop some balls. You're not going to get everything right.
Yeah.
Right? But
we're human.
Some things that you do so that you don't open yourself up. And then the other thing was the Jay-Z thing. I guess she borrowed $20 million from Jay-Z. The company is accused of trying to hide a $20 million investment from Jay-Z's Marcy Penn firm, moving the funds through a separate company to avoid oversight. So just little small things that could have been done better. Now, I say that to say this. They do it all the time. And I hate to say they do it all the time, but you have to say they do it all the time, because they hold us and we hold us to a different set of rules. We have to jump higher. We have to run faster. We have to be twice as good. Our ice has to be colder. Like, all of the things have to happen. Lord. Okay, look, let's look at our next lady. And
Pinky Cole's slutty vegan brand slapped with a new lawsuit. Workers at her new restaurant in Brooklyn say they are owed a lot of money. The location opened up back in September, and a group of workers filed a suit in New York saying they were promised thousands of dollars in bonuses but never saw a cent. And they worked anywhere from 10 to 20 hours of overtime a week without getting paid for it. This is the second similar lawsuit tied to one of Cole's restaurants. You might remember back in January, employees of Bar Vegan at Pont City Market sued Cole and two of the bar's co-owners, saying they were keeping tip money from employees. Cole responded at that time on social media saying she doesn't mess with employees' money. We reached out to her tonight for a comment as well, and we'll let you know when we get a response.
So with Pinky, I feel like this poor girl can't catch a break. It takes me back to, if you open the door just a little bit, if they find a sliver of something that's not right, I feel like they start tearing your whole business and company apart to find all the things that aren't right. Right? The dude has gone bankrupt a gazillion times, has not paid people, has closed up projects, and I'm talking about y'all's president, and he is the president of the United States. If you look at his business track record, he should be broke. He should have no power. We should not have a man that can't run a business as the president. But yet we have these Black women who are out here doing the damn thing, learning as they go, like most Black entrepreneurs are, right? You're usually the first entrepreneur in your family. You're learning how to do entrepreneurship. You're going to make some mistakes. You don't have no other millionaire friends. You don't have anybody else who has done what you have done. And a lot of these businesses were like, I'm not going to say overnight successes, but they like took off quick. It happened fast. They didn't know what was going to happen. And so when you see something like this, I do believe, Aisha, you say you are familiar with Pinky Cole. That clip was about was about taxes and tips, but right now a lot of her information in the news is around the bankruptcy or the fact that she had lost the company, had to get it back. But she's literally learning as she goes. What do you think? What do you think about the whole, do you think that there is a thread or something that's consistent between each one of these ladies' situation that outcries this is an attack on Black women, on Black entrepreneurs?
I do see it. I think not too long ago we talked about Hanifa, because things happen and things were delayed, and they just started slamming her all over the place. The good news is, at least we know that the African American women, we're growing fast. If a business is started, we're growing fast. So I guess now, seeing what is happening and seeing the thread of things happening, perhaps we can start doing this a little bit more different, maybe having mentors in business. So that way, the good news is that we're really growing quickly, but sometimes we grow so fast, we make more mistakes, because then we can't see the people that are running things for us. We're trusting them to do things for us. And then when we fall, though, who takes the blame? We take the blame. The key person takes the blame, even though maybe there was somebody there somewhere doing what wasn't right? And what is the employees are not being paid, because I'm sure she has somebody that's supposed to pay them, but because they are the ones that are the face of the business, they take the fall. So I'm hoping that as we're hearing all this happening and seeing that there's a common thread going through all of them, these women come out and they become successful very quickly, but then somehow they start getting hit with huge problems and money issues, even though the money wasn't no longer there. Maybe we should start learning more about it and using that as a a step for us to now learn from them. So if we get that opportunity to be like them and grow that fast, we'll put the right systems in place so that this doesn't keep happening. Because if it keeps happening, then we'll keep going backwards instead of going forward. And hopefully we'll have Black banks that support us, or Black organizations that will stand behind any Black woman doing well or Black man doing well, stand behind them so that they can have that support system. Because like you said, nobody knew how to run, maybe they didn't know how to run a business before. This is new to them and everything's happening so fast. So they need help. For those that have already been in that space for a long time, in our community, to come around them to support them so they don't keep having this problem like we're seeing happening consistently.
Renee,
Thank you.
Deborah Tuck said, with Uncle Nearest, they were big mad about Jack Daniels being exposed for stealing Uncle Nearest's brand. And you had mentioned grace. When you go into these big industries, these big arenas, and you do these big things, right? And, pardon my language, finger the fact that y'all did it wrong, you stole from us, you built this mega brand on the back of this Black man's invention idea. There was no recognition at that time because he couldn't have it, but we know that this is what went on, and now we're going to come back and build back better. I want a piece of it. You shouldn't have it. You shouldn't be there. I forgot who talked about the creek and the access. What are your thoughts? Do you think that whenever we get a leg up, especially if it's in an industry that they dominate, like you can't have sports. You can't have sports. You're not gonna have sports, no matter what sport it is. If we come and try to play it, we're gonna dominate. We just took over some type of skiing event this past Olympics. That Black girls out there, like, you can't have sports. It belongs to us. Maybe you can have the outlet liquor. And then here comes Fawn Weaver, like, maybe not. We want that too. What do you think? What are your thoughts? I know you're about to say something. So how does that tie all in?
When you just talked about sports, I was thinking about pickleball. They came up with this pickleball stuff. So anyway, it's just like they're always trying to find something that they can, push us away that we can't get in. But back to your question. Consistently changing the rules, the game, like you said, so you got that, Mark, now put your hands on your back and hop, so we're constantly trying to, they're always changing the rules and shifting different laws and political. And I remember what it is that they said, if you want them to not do well, anyone, put it in a book. Well, we're reading now. We're reading.
And what they said was, because I use this quote, they said, if you want to hide something from Black people, put it in a book. That's the quote. If you want to hide something from Black people, specifically, put it in a book.
And now it's in contracts, right? Now when we're doing business, now they're putting it in the contracts. And those contracts and real estate forms, woo, I mean, come on. So it's a never-ending game. But I wanted to say just a little bit about Pinky Cole, just a little bit, because my husband and I were talking about why we think it's an inside job. I'm sorry. And the reason why is her husband being criticized? He's a Black man who, the Philly State King, he was around before her. And then, she's now come in and he's supposed to be, they're supposed to be growing. She has this vegan and he has this steak. And I'm just not understanding, why is she falling? And then, so we were just having that question. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
Point. I actually read an article. I don't remember if I was reading an article, if I heard it, but it was out of her own mouth, where she said something to the effect of, because they were asking about their relationship because they're recently married. At the time of getting married, they were both on top of the world. And she said something to the effect of, I think she said something to the effect of, it has not plagued their relationship, but as a business owner, it has been difficult to watch his success continue to rise and mine, stammer, you know what I'm saying? Or be going through the things that I'm going through, and his is doing this thing. So I'm going to go to my marriage person. This is a great conversation for my marriage person. What does that look like when you are in relationship? You guys are in the same industry and his business is doing amazing. It's doing amazing things. We don't know why. We don't know how. We don't know if he got different lawyers, got different contracts. We don't know if they talk about business. We don't know any of those things, but her businesses are flailing. What do you do? I mean, what happens in relationship when one's doing amazing and the other one is not?
So I know a lot of people are not going to like this. I would just say in that particular situation, just take the hint, right? He's doing well, you're not. Why not put more effort into where there is success and give up what's not successful? And I also have a problem with a man and a woman who get married supposedly to start a family, and they're kind of pursuing two separate things. And they're both trying to kind of be like number one, because I always feel like then the children, the family, and the home are kind of abandoned. So yeah, the short answer is just take the hints and pour where it's working and give up what's not working. People don't like that because they're like, well, you know, women can be equally successful, blah, blah, blah. Well, in that particular case, that's not true. And yeah, you are concurrently building business, wealth, generationally, hopefully, but don't forget that you also are building a family, and that is something that's also going to be a legacy. That's something that's going to go for generations. So your success doesn't always, if you are a husband and wife team, your success doesn't have to look the same. Her success can be in other areas, which could be being the best supporter and encourager and whatever you want to call it.
So I had to go look something up. Our executive producer says she said that she doesn't trust her husband, but I had to go and look. She has not said that in anything that I have. However, I guess she filed for bankruptcy before telling her husband, but they run their businesses separately. So there's that. I just have to go. I wanted to go make sure because I don't want to say. And they don't have a prenup. She has revealed that she did not have a prenup with her husband, which she has framed as a sign of trust and partnership. Okay, so I needed to go. Oh, she said, no, I was asking. Okay, good. I was like, wait, what? I hadn't read that. I hadn't seen that before. Okay, so all is good. They doing good. Okay, let's go to our last lady because we can keep on looking. Let's see what's going on with the attack on Black women business owners. Let's keep going. This one's the newest, Stormy Wellington.
Nicole Wellington is a lot of things, but baby scammer damn sure ain't one of them. And the way y'all been dragging that lady on the internet this entire week is very low vibrational of y'all. And to the people in the back, let me help y'all out. So everybody that keeps saying, oh, the feds don't come knocking on your door unless they got some evidence. Baby, the feds and the FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission, are literally two different agencies, okay? And when it comes down to FTC, they deal with civil cases, okay? Not criminal cases. So I don't know if that's why y'all using the word scammer, because y'all feel as though she created or committed a crime, but that's not at all, okay? Now, when it comes down to the FTC, they do have rules and regulations in place that when you are putting out income claims that you have to have a disclaimer. And that's what Stormy did not do. She did not have a disclaimer on her post. That is it. That is all. When it comes down to scamming, anytime somebody ever gave her any money, she gave them mentorship, if that's what you paid for. She gave them their product from TLC, or actually TLC gave them the product that they paid for. So I don't see how that's scamming if you pay for something and you got what you paid for in return. Now, if it comes down to you not becoming a millionaire, I feel like that's on you, not Stormy. Stormy can give you the game. She can give you the play all day. It's up to you to run it. And a lot of people who did not run it, they obviously did not have the hustle. They obviously did not have the heart, the grind, or the grit. Take it how you want to, okay? She can give you the game all day, but she cannot do it for you and she cannot build it for you. That's all I'm going to say.
So, me. Okay. I don't follow Stormy, but I've been watching Stormy for years. Let me say that like that. I don't follow her, but I have been watching her for years. And I don't want to be disrespectful or rude, so I'm choosing my words carefully. So FTC takes action against high-level MLM, multi-level marketing participants who deceived workers about the amount of money they can earn. And so Stormy was basically saying, I'm going to make 60 people millionaires in 2026 or something like that. But when you make these kind of claims, you have to say everybody's results are not going to be the same. I can't guarantee that that's going to happen for you. Like, you have to say these things, right? Because these are goals that we have. My goal is to make 60 people, but she didn't say that. And so the FTC is coming after her. And so what are your thoughts when you hear this, Aisha? I don't know if you know what MLM or multi-level marketing is, but you can't be out here telling people that they're going to make this kinds of money without giving a disclaimer, which I guess is the only thing they're coming after her for. But I just feel like I have my own personal feeling about MLM. Like I always just feel like it's a hustle anyways. Like the majority of if you look at the numbers, Tara, can you give me the numbers? It's something like, in a multi-level marketing organization, only 1% of the people make the numbers with which they are saying. And that's the people who started it, right? Because everybody comes up underneath them. So if I tell you, if you join my team, you're going to make money, and you go out and you sell, and the person under that makes money, the person at the top is the only person who really makes money. Anyways, what are your thoughts, Aisha?
Yeah. Once I heard, as I'm hearing it talk about this situation, is the disclaimer is very important. Like you said, disclaimer is very important. If you tell somebody that, oh, you're all going to make $1 million, but then you don't tell them that the hustle or the work is sold separately, then you are also not being honest, because then who's the scammer? Both people are scammers. You didn't just show up for a meeting, for coaching, and then become a millionaire just because, right? The work is sold separately. So the person that is selling that coaching needs to make that clear. Say, I have made this much. Because they say, all I can show you is somebody else that has done it, and I know it's possible. But does that mean you're going to make it? I'm not sure. But the coaching, I will give you 100% of the coaching, show you what needs to be done. But the hustle and the hard work is separate. So you have to do the work to get the income that you want. So is that a scam? I think maybe it's in the delivery and the disclaimer and what you show them. Because the truth is, a lot of people learn from MLMs. I know they're illegal. You can't tell those things, because tell them about the hard work, that you're up till 2 a.m. working, that you're up 6 a.m. taking clients, that you have to tell them the truth. So then if they come in and do that work, then they understand that, wow, yes, you can make $1 million in this business. Absolutely. But you have to do the work to get that $1 million. It's not just by me coaching you and now you make $1 million. That doesn't work like that. And that then means you're not really, you're not being honest and tell them all the gamut of what it takes to earn that $1 million. So
the work is the hardest part. And I think that's the part you can't sell. I can't sell you work ethic. I can sell you the game. No. I can tell you what to do. A producer says the hustle is sold separately, right? The hustle is, so if you don't know how to hustle, I can give you step by step. If you don't know how to get out here and hustle, I'll tell you, when I was younger, I've hustled my whole life, but when I was younger, I used to sell perfume on the corners. This, like, I don't know why I wasn't wanting to be a salesperson, but I used to sell, like, why do people have to sell them perfume? And you have to hustle to sell somebody a knockoff perfume on the way from the door to their car. Like, you got to walk with them and, hey, you smell it. You got to spray it on. You got to hustle to be able to get this person to buy this knockoff Giorgio or this Fahrenheit or whatever it is you're trying to sell them. Hustle, right? Because when you hear that, when you see it, you're like, oh, I can do that. And then you get out here and you do it. But it's sold separately. If you don't got it, you don't got it. I don't know how to teach it to you. I don't know how to show it to you. But our executive producer made a good point. She said that, what about Mary Kay and what about Herbalife? Like, there's a gazillion different types of MLMs out there, and people make money. Now, she might have just not chose the right one. TLC states that 76.8% of active participants, which is 23,124 people, did not earn any compensation. None in 2023. And that at most 0.4% of all active participants, 113 people, earned more than $5,000. Similarly, for Mossy, which is our other company, income disclosure statements posted to its website shows that in 2023, fewer than 1% of active participants earned income in the six-figure range, the FTC alleges. So it's hard, right? The other thing that she said is, I will help 1,000 families make 5 to 7 figures in the next 90 days to 12 months. That to me is a realistic claim. 1,000 people, 5 to 7 figures. That's not even a lot of money. 5 figures is just $10,000. Now, if you know how to hustle, if I give you the game and you can't make $10,000 in a year with the game that I gave you, who's responsible at that point? Renee, what do you think?
Absolutely. You're responsible. You have to take responsibility for your actions and what you do. Like you said, you can give them the book, the recipe and everything, but you got to go in there and cook. You got to say, okay, I need to pinch this and a little salt here and dab it and, dip it. And then also then put your own little flavor into that. So, you have to work and make sure that you can comprehend. And then if you have questions, ask those questions. But you have to have that hustle in you. And you have to have that ingrained to say that I can't just sit on my butt, or let's just say you can't just sit at the door and hope that a man come to your door for you, right? So you got to get out there. So anyway, the point is, it comes from inside, and you have to get out there and hustle.
Yeah. Man, I wish you knew who Stormy was, Nomalanga, because this would be such a much better conversation and question if you knew more. But Tia, can you put her background back up there for me? One of the reasons why I follow Stormy is we have a similar upbringing, if you will, a similar past, and so that's one of the reasons why I've watched her. Dr. Boyce was like, "Hey, are you familiar with Stormy?" I'm like, "Yes." Stormy Wellington rose from the mud, foster care, strip clubs at 13, teen mom by 15, to become a self-made multimillionaire, entrepreneur, author, global speaker, and transformational coach. And let me say this, her journey is amazing. What she has built is amazing. How she has done it is amazing. I love her hustle, her work ethic. I just don't like how she speaks to people, but that's a me thing. That's an older lady thing. I don't feel I don't know. Something about calling Black women bees and just talking to them crazy. It irks me for me. But I'm a seasoned woman of a certain age. I'm about to be 50, so maybe it's just at where I stand. I'd be like, you can't talk to me like that and motivate me. However, what she has built, with how she has transformed, how she aspires, the legion of women that follow her, and she has, in fact, I believe, created 30 millionaires or something like that. So she has, you know what I'm saying? And she works for the people. I would say maybe 99% of the people who follow her are Black women, right? I would guess, I would say probably. So, and she does the scripture thing and all the stuff. So all of that is that she do got the Grant Cardone thing. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the Grant Cardone scam, not scam, but just anyways, I'm getting too personal. Nomalanga, what are your thoughts? What do you think about, how familiar are you with MLM? Do you think that this is a case of another case of an attack of a Black woman? Because to the credit, you don't hear this about Mary Kay. You don't hear this about other MLM companies. There's the travel one, but nobody has done MLM the way that Stormy has done MLM with TLC.
I'm not that familiar with her or TLC, but I did do MLM, and I will go 10 toes down for them and say they are some of the best sales training entities out there. I promise you. I think I did. I started with Legal Shield at the time. It was called Prepaid Legal, and I saw. I don't have to say. I saw actually family members be able to quit jobs and support their families on what they made. I did Avon and Mary Kay, but then I was just trying whatever. I failed miserably at all three, failed miserably. But whenever I talk
why
about
do you think that was though? But why do you think you failed miserably? Because I think that's important.
It was because I just didn't understand like the hustle and the grind. I just didn't. I was coming from that mindset of you show up on your little computer and you type up and you look pretty and you clock out and you go home, and that's not it, And I used to write a lot, and I used to write that I started out with MLM and it taught me a lot. And if you see me grinding and pushing and talking about all that, I learned that in the MLM. In the time when I was doing MLM, they taught me a lot, and I will still say that to this day. I think even if you have like young adults, send them there. They might fail, but they will learn something. So, and I also used to have to defend MLMs a lot because people will say, well, it's only the people at the top that are successful. That's true, because the same thing with the corporation that you work for. You're never, ever going to make the millions that the CEO is making. The lower you go, the less you make. And then unless you rise to the higher levels, you just are never going to make, you're just not going to make it. But what I did love about them is I did see people who came, and usually there were people who came in, hit the ground running, and they had massive success. And these were typically people who had, you know, the biggest whys. It was like, I have to do this. I have to succeed at this. And if I don't succeed, I'm on the street. So their level of hustle is different than a little housewife sitting at home with her baby and thinking, oh, I could do this for a little extra money. That's a very different, it's a very different scenario. But to this lady, I don't know enough to know if they were targeting her specifically, but I still go back to the basics, the business basics. Anything you do, and it's not just about business. I say the same thing about marriage. I say the same thing about parenting. In business coaching, I always encourage mentorship, coaching, and a mastermind. You need a team of people around you who've done what you're trying to do before you, who can guide you through the process. You need people around you who are right at the level that you're at. All of those things matter. And I think oftentimes when these things like go crazy like this, I'm always wondering, like, do they have a mastermind? Do they have a coach? Do they have a mentor? What happened? Where were they? Why didn't they? You see? And oftentimes they're just not there. And I don't understand why. Those are just the very, very most basic things that you have to stress to young entrepreneurs, old entrepreneurs, anybody, or anybody who's trying to do something successfully and they know that they don't have a background in that thing. You need those structures in place. Otherwise, because we're all going to fail at some point. When you fail, you won't survive it.
You're absolutely correct. All right, cool. The behind the scenes of producing. Okay, cool. So, man, this has been such a good conversation. I think it has. We do have to keep our ice colder because it's expected, right? We do have to support Black women because we are under attack, right? This is International Black Women's History Month, and I have been honored to be our Black Woman Fact of the Day. And the fact that I'm going to share today is that Black Power, which is a conference that I started in 2021, turns 5. It is one of the first things that I have done consistently for 5 years. Thank you so much, Aisha. And I am super excited, super geeked that it's going to be happening this weekend in Miami, this Saturday and Sunday in Miami. Myself, Tara Williams, Constance Carter, Athena Gardner, special guest Dr. Boyce Watkins. If you can't get to Miami, go get you a virtual ticket like right now. If you go to www.blackpower.com, you can get a virtual ticket so that you can still participate. You want to be in this room. I just finished looking at the edits of the 5-year CEO plan. It is 60 pages long and it is fire. It goes through AI. It goes through your revenue plan. It has your business model canvas. It has a CEO identity. It is going to be fire. If you can get virtually, if you can't get in the room, go virtually, blackpower.com. And I'm gonna give y'all $50 off, which is gonna save you $100. So the price has gone, virtual went back up to $149, but because I show up to Fly Nubian Money every day, and because you all show up to Fly Nubian Money every day, if you use FNM, which is Fly Nubian Money 50, FNM 50 on the virtual ticket, you can still get it for $99. Don't tell nobody else, but if you all here used FNM 50, you can still get the Black Power virtual ticket for $99. Okay, boom. That's your that's your International Black Women's Fact for the Day promo and invitation, because it is an international conference. We have been international. We've been to Dubai, Tulum, Mexico, Cairo, Egypt, and Bali, virtually, of course. And for this event, we're going to be in Miami. So go to blackpower.com, use the code FNM50. You can get in the room virtually for $99. That said, we don't want y'all to run y'all business like, let me say this a different way. I was going to be negative. We want to make sure that you guys set your businesses up and run them properly so that you don't leave room for somebody to come in and take advantage of you. Let's say it that way, to come in and attack you, right? Because we know that you can't do everything right. We know that it's not going to be perfect. We know that a lot of times you're going to be the first entrepreneur in your family and you don't have $1 million person to go and talk to. Get into rooms like Black Power, come to conversations like Fly Nubian Money, go to the Black Business School where these conversations are happening, where mentorship is happening. Let's do our final thought. Our executive producer said 30 seconds, keep it down low. Thank you for that. Put that back up there, Tier. We're going to do our final thoughts as we head out the door. I'll start with you, Aisha.
Great chat today. I really appreciate it. I think the best thing we can do is just learn from all the things we've seen, all the thread that we've seen through all those women that are trying so hard to do well in the community and being brought down. Let's learn from whatever it is that they did wrong. Let's learn from it, and then whatever they did well, let's grow with them in that space. Get mentors, like we're talking about, and get mastermind. And but the grind is real. The grind is real, and just keep it that way. And I'm sure all of us will succeed if we just learn from their mistakes and just keep moving. Thank you. Oh, where can you find me? Black Business School and Aisha.com.
Love it. What about you, Renee?
Sorry. I was just say for me, I have, because I don't have, as I'm going on, I got the Legal Shield, Business Legal Shield, which is very cheap. I'm not trying to promote them. I'm not getting any what you call it, money from this or anything. I'm just saying as a business owner, I got something where I can, ask questions and whatnot. And also AI. You have a contract, you throw that mug in there, get a real good thing and ask the questions, identify what the pitfalls in this contract. Once you get that, go to your Legal Shield attorney or whomever, pay that $39 and go through it. So there are ways for us to protect ourselves on a budget. I'm Renee Williams. I'm TricycleSync.com. This is an app that will protect Black women. Check it out and let me know what you think.
Love it. Thank you so much for being here. Miss Nomalanga. Final thought.
I'll just double down on what I actually already said is just the importance of mentorship, coaching, and masterminds. I have yet to see anybody be successful, like crazy successful, without some form of that, preferably all three. I actually, when I do business coaching, it's a standard. It's like the most basic thing about it is you have to have people that are going to help you. Sometimes people on your own level are going to have almost exactly the same problem and you're looking for solutions and you're throwing things out there, and that really helps. But sometimes it's amazing that when you're having a meltdown and you go to your mentor, they can tell you in 30 seconds how to solve something that you thought was going to end your life and your business. So those are very important things, and I can't stress it enough. And I hope that we take advantage of them, because sometimes they come for free. And if you have to pay for them, take it as seriously as you take your marketing or your lawyer or whatever else it is. So I can't stress enough to be around a community of people who are going to help you be successful. And like I said it before, I'll say it again, you're going to fail. Having those structures in place is the difference between failing and staying down, or failing and failing forward. There's a book actually called Failing Forward. Failing and falling down, or just failing forward. That's the difference. Where you can find me, I'm also at the business school. I got 2 courses there. One of them teaches you how to transition from working in the corporate or wherever you're working to becoming an entrepreneur. The other one I designed for parents who are interested in homeschooling, even if they want to do it supplementally. Those are both at the Black Business School. If you just search my name, you'll find them. I also ask for your support for our charity, Pass for Our Girls, which I started in Botswana. It is a charity that supports period poverty. Just to make it simple, is that there are young girls who cannot go to school because they just don't have sanitary pads. So we supply sanitary pads to whomever comes into our periphery free of charge. So donations are always welcome. The smallest amount counts. You just go to pads4ourgirls.com. And I always say our biggest donors are actually our audience here at the Black Business School and other online platforms that I appear on. So thank you, everybody.
I love it. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to you in the chat. We appreciate you. We love you. We thank you for showing up and rocking with us every day. I am Dr. LaNée Javette. You can find me online at I am Dr. LaNée Javette. Right now, I'm pushing Black Power, so that's the handle that you see up there. Again, if you can make it in the room, please make it in the room. If you can't make it in the room and you want to sponsor somebody else, you can buy a ticket for somebody else too. I always forget to say that because there are people who are trying to get in the room. So if you do want to be a blessing to somebody, you can sponsor someone so that we can make sure that they don't have these types of situations, or we can try to help them. See, look, now my FTC ain't coming for me. We can try to help them make sure that they don't have these types of situations happen to them. So today's conversation is not about individual stories. It is about what it takes to build, sustain, and protect a business, right? Because if the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs is still struggling with access and protection, then we have to ask what system they are building in. And more importantly, who that system is really designed for. Booyah. All right. Thank you so much again for joining us. I'm Dr. LaNée Javette, joined by Aisha, Nomalanga, and Renee. Go out, have a great day.